So welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. Today I want to talk about something I haven't expressed, and something that I've been going through for a while, and it's a journey, but it's really exciting and it's really like happy. It's like a good thing. And I've been going to therapy for a few months, and it's really difficult for me to talk about because it's something really private and really intimate, and some vulnerable stuff is there, but I'm working on being more open and honest and vulnerable and just connecting with people in general. So I'm doing this in an effort to just have people understand where I'm coming from, and hopefully I can connect with other people that have gone through therapy, or maybe inspire people to go to therapy because it's really helpful. Even if you don't feel like you're going through a lot in your life, like nothing traumatizing, you would benefit from going, because it's just like going to the doctor but for your mind. You shouldn't just go when you're on the brink of like dying, pretty much. You should go when you're not, preventing that from happening. So I feel like it's really important. So I'm doing this to inspire other people to go, and I'm doing this because it really has changed my life, and I feel like it comes down to whether you want it or not. And it also comes down to whether you're willing to put in the work. And I feel like I'm in a part of my life where I'm ready, and I'm looking forward to doing all these changes and just being happier in general, whatever that may be for me. And so I'm gonna come on here and show you guys my therapy bag, because I have like a bag, like a backpack, but bag full of stuff that I take with me to therapy. I call it my therapy bag, and I'll show you that, and then we're gonna talk about like my own personal journey that I'm going through and what I'm trying to work on. And of course I'm not going to tell you all of it, just the things I feel comfortable sharing. And so yeah, let's get started. So first thing, I love this bag. It's the therapy bag. So it says, "There are so many reasons to be happy." I don't know if that's backwards for you guys, but that's what it says. It's by this person. I don't know who they are, but my dad got it for me, and so I use some of these for like grocery shopping, but this one I use for therapy. And inside the therapy bag, this is my main notebook that I use. It's this one day at a time. It's really cute. It motivates you to use it and, write in it. So I pretty much write notes in here every session. I don't really use the daily planner or weekly planner, but yeah, that's what I do with this one. And so this is the main one that I use. So that's that one that I put in here. Another one that I use is this one, which is like with the theme of that one, Shine Bright. But it has the succulents and it has like gold accents, just like the other one. You could tell they're like they were meant to be bought together. But what I put in here in this folder is the worksheets my therapist gives me, so that I can practice some of these stuff at home. She makes sure to give me things to take home so I can do them on my own. Something practical, something that I could do no matter where I am. So I really enjoy whenever she gives me these worksheets to like think about, or activities to do, or homework, quote unquote. And I really don't feel like it's homework. I just feel like it feels like something that I actually want to do and that I look forward to doing, because it eventually leads you to the answers that you've been looking for. I really enjoy these activities of getting to know myself. So that's what this folder is for. And honestly, these are folders that I have that are just kind of like there because I really like them. Like this one. It's like a Geo Rock with gold folder. I don't have anything inside of it, but I keep it in there. And of course I have pens. Pens in my therapy bag. I have this one. Right, and of course I have a little bit of like hair ties in here for my hair or clips. If I'm running late, I can just let my hair down, and then when I get there I can put it up in a bun and easy peasy, you know, it's taken care of. So I can really get into therapy mode. So this is something I haven't talked about, but this is something that I keep in my therapy book because it's something that's kind of close to my heart, and it really doesn't have a reason or purpose for being in my therapy bag other than the fact that I just feel like my therapy bag is where my heart is. It's the things that are very close to me are there and very like sacred to me. But I haven't talked about this, and this folder kind of transitions into the ending of my therapy bag, because that's all my therapy bag has is those folders and that planner. So there's nothing else for me to talk about that bag. I just recommend you guys to have one because it's really helpful and it really keeps you accountable, and it keeps you it makes it seem all the more real, because therapy isn't just something abstract that you think about. It's something that it's a literal place you can go to, and having physical like evidence that you're going to it just makes it all the more real in a way too, because you're being proactive, you're being aware of it, and you're aware of it every single day that you see the bag, and you're reminded of it in a good way. And so moving on, that's the end of that. This is something I've been wanting to talk about. What's inside this folder is something I've been wanting to talk about, and it goes back to my cat. I don't know if you guys know that I had a cat, but I did have a cat, and I hope I don't cry. If I cry, it's okay. I let myself cry. But I have like a picture of her in here. What I was gonna say is, well, the reason I'm getting emotional over this picture is because August 10th, my cat never came home, and I've been looking for her since. I've gotten leads. People have called me saying they think they saw her. I show up and I don't see her. I look for her. I've gone to look for her for like hours, sometimes an hour. I go and check, and it's just whenever I think I have her, when people tell me they think they've seen her, it just kind of leads to nowhere. And it's just really, really sad that she's not with us, and I don't know where she is. I don't really have any answers to what happened to her, or I have so many like theories about what happened to her, and at the end of the day, it's just theories. I don't really have any answers about what happened to her. I do feel really guilty because she's always been an indoor cat, and so she's always wanted to go out, and she used to like escape. Like whenever we would open the door, she'd like run out, and we would like chase her, and we'd bring her like, sorry, I had a message. um we'd bring her back inside, and she was always trying to go out, and then she would always like meow too, like for hours. Sometimes she would meow almost for like 8 hours straight. She would meow at the door, just wanting to get out. I don't know if it's because she's a Bengal and she's really like a little more wild than domestic cats. She's still a domestic cat, but she's a little more like in her genes, or she's a lot more wild. And I don't know if it's because of that, but I neutered her. She's like, she might want to go out and mate. I don't know, but a month before she ran away, we started letting her out, and that's why I'm saying that I feel guilty, because the reason I let her out genuinely was I felt like she was miserable inside. I felt like I was depriving her of what she really wanted. I don't feel like she really loved me. She loved me, but I feel like some part of her just always wanted to like be the wild cat that she never got to be. And so that's why I let her go, because I felt like if you love something, you let them go, and if they come back, it's yours. And so I would let her out, and she was fine after the first month. Like after the first month, she would come when I would call her, and I put like a collar on her, and she would come when I'd call her name, and then I'd hear like the little jingle, and hello everybody, I'm back. I had to take a moment to breathe, and I'm back with better quality audio, so that's a plus. I'm just coming back here to talk about my cat because I got really overwhelmed talking about her because, like I mentioned, I just felt just like I was holding her back because I truly wanted her to be happy, and I didn't feel like she was happy living with me. I didn't feel like she was living her best life with me, and I was kind of heartbroken because I would see her cry all the time and I would get overwhelmed and I would get frustrated at her, and I wasn't being happy because my happiness for her depended on her own happiness. And if she's not happy, I'm not happy. I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to enjoy living here with me. And a lot of times she was, but a lot of times she wasn't either. And a lot of times you couldn't ignore it, whole day just meowing, 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 and just not happy. And it just kind of felt overwhelming because I felt like I did everything I could. I felt like, I would feed her salmon. Sometimes we would cook it, sometimes we'd give it to her raw, and sometimes, we would change up her food, her dry food. Sometimes we would mix it with other, like, wet food, and we would get her toys. Sometimes we'd play with her. That wouldn't work because she would get tired of it after a few minutes, and she would just watch us just try and play with her, but she was just, like, tired. She would just sit down and just watch us. And so I just felt kind of overwhelmed. I felt like nothing was gonna make her happy, and what she really wanted was to go out and just explore. It always is gonna bother me that I ordered this thing called Tile. It's a cube where it's a GPS tracker. You can see an app on your phone and see where it is located. I was ordering it so I could put it on Shatara as a collar because I didn't have enough time or money to chip her, and I should have done it and I didn't. And that's another thing that I also feel guilty and horrible about, because if someone was looking for her owner, they could have found me by now. But then I also wonder if someone stole her, they wouldn't have scanned the chip anyways. They wouldn't have even cared if she was chipped. They wouldn't have even been looking for an owner because the whole point was for them to keep her. And so I still don't know if she was stolen, if she wanted to leave, if she wandered off too far and just never found her way back home. Like, I always just think of her whenever the weather is just less than perfect. I always think of her because I'm just wondering how she is, where she is, if she's okay, if she's wet, if she's hungry, if she's tired, if she's too hot. Like, I'm always just wondering her whenever it's like raining or whenever it's, really cold out. At least for us, it can be really cold. Even if you're used to like perfect weather, you still get affected by rain and cold. Some parts of San Diego snows, so it can get cold here, and we're not near where it snows, but for us it's still cold. And so it does make me think of her whenever the weather is less than perfect. I always think of her. I hope at least if she got stolen, she's at a home where they do take care of her, or if she did want to leave, I hope she found shelter, or I hope someone feeds her regularly, or if they see her, I hope they take her in. Like, my mind just goes crazy thinking about her and just where she could be, and that's just something that I think about often. And it's another reason why I guess I have her picture in my therapy bag. And that's something I haven't even talked to my therapist about. There's still a lot of things I want to talk to her about, but that's just something that I don't really feel like has any resolution, really. Like, there's no real life resolution to that, other than finding her, or because looking for her just drives you crazy. I've been doing that this whole time, and it hasn't given me any answers. And so that's why I have her picture in my in my therapy bag, and it's not just a picture of her that I have in there, it's her lost cat poster that I made a lot of them. I made a Facebook group for her. I did campaigns, I did events, try to make her find people. Nobody showed up, of course, but I still posted events. I even sponsored an event. Like, I paid a Facebook ad for an event so that people can help me look for her. And of course, no one showed up, but everybody was looking at the page. Not everybody, but a great amount of people were looking at the page, and they liked it or they viewed it, and it still has followers. It still tells me that so and so, like 5 new people looked at it, and I was just like, great, people are looking at. But until I actually get someone telling me that they've seen her, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. I'm still always gonna look for her, and that's another reason why I love this apartment that I'm staying at, is because so as long as I live here, I feel like there's hope for her to find me or come back to me if she wants to, or if she ever finds her way back, or if the people who, if they stole her, let her go free, maybe she could find her way back to me. This apartment, to me, means also hope for finding my cat. And so that's the reason why I like living here, and that's another reason why I can't seem to let her go, because I just give her so much meaning in my life, and I feel like maybe that's what pets are supposed to be, like that. But we even have a time frame of when she left. We have video of the last time we saw her. We have camera footage. It's just, I can go all day about this and just end up in circles nowhere with it, but that's the truth about my cat. So when I first started going to therapy, I was talking to my therapist about how I felt as a child growing up. I felt like I was really overprotected, and I was watching YouTube videos of this therapist called Katie Morton. She's a therapist. She's like a licensed family and marriage therapist, I think they're called. And she talked about fear of being alone. And I always had a fear of being alone. I've always not trusted myself in a way. And so that's something I always wanted to work on in therapy. And before going into therapy, I started doing some research on it on my own, and I found out through that therapist, through her YouTube channel, that a reason that you could be afraid of being alone is overprotective parents, and that comes down to anxious parents raising anxious children. This is not to bash on my parents at all. This is not to disrespect them in any way. This is just my own personal life perspective and experience, and this is what I truly feel in my life and in my existence. And so that's something I worked on with my therapist in the first few sessions, is learning how to be okay being alone. And I realized that there is a reason for me to be alone. There is things that I need to get done, self-care routines, such as things that I actually want to do. But a lot of times I don't give myself the opportunity to be alone to do those things, and so I never get them done. So it really holds me back in my personal life and in my success in life, just to be alone. And so I already wanted to be alone. I knew I had to. I knew it was a problem. I just wanted to learn how to overcome it. And so my therapist said, the problem isn't that I don't want to be alone. The problem is the anxiety and fear of being alone. And so that is really the root cause of my fear of being alone is it comes down to just learned fear and learned anxiety. And so I was starting to learn how to stop anxiety like attacks and start to reassociate alone time with positive things instead of isolation, abandonment, and abuse. So I also feel like a lot of time when I am alone, I feel honestly like a failure. I know that sounds so random. Why would I associate being alone with a failure? And the reason I do is because whenever I'm alone, I just want to do a lot of things, but my anxiety paralyzes me to not do those things. And so it kind of feeds into my self-esteem of not being able to achieve the things that I want to achieve, and then I beat myself up more, and then I become more anxious. And let me give you an example. I've been wanting to do a YouTube video for a while, like a long time, since my last one. And in order for me to do these videos, I feel most comfortable doing them alone, which is the irony, because I actually hate being alone, and it's really difficult for me to focus on a task when I'm alone, because all I think about is just how alone I am and how bad it can get, like a robber breaking in or something bad happening, or I don't even know, like just a bunch of anxieties and fears come up, and then when I don't get them done, then I'm like, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do this that I wanted to do, and so I didn't get to do YouTube videos, and that just made me prove to myself that I am a failure, and I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. And so it's really weird. My therapist recommended me to make a to-do list before I'm alone of things that I want to get done, such as, like, let's say face mask. I want to do some self-care, like a face mask. I want to do my nails. Still haven't done them. I want to do my nails, and I want to do my makeup, and I want to make a YouTube video. These are things that I actually genuinely want to do a lot of the times, and I never get around to doing them. And so she tells me to write these in notes before I'm alone, and then when I'm alone, I look at the notes and I try to focus on one at a time, doing one at least, and just focusing on that, so that my anxiety doesn't come up by focusing on the fact that I'm alone, rather diverting my attention to a task, because once I'm actually doing it, my anxiety dissipates a little. And so that's what she advised me to do, and that's what I've done, and that is what's really helped me in my journey of self-care. And it's something I'm still working on, and it's something that has really helped me. And that's what I learned in therapy about being afraid of being alone. And so it's normal, it's really common, but I know now where it comes from, and I know why I have it, and there's deeper reasons to it as well that I just don't want to talk about right now, but in the future I probably will, because I want to be an open book. I want to be a healthcare advocate in my channel about finding who you really are through generational patterns, and through looking at your life and analyzing it and living a purposeful life, a life that you wake up to every day, not regretting if tomorrow you die. So that is genuinely what my channel is about. It's about being true and authentic, and just being happy in your everyday life. That's all I really want to do. That's all I really want everybody to do. So yes, I do recommend people to look this up if you are interested in it, activities. And this is another worksheet that my therapist gave me. It's called 10 Thinking Errors That Lead to Anxiety. So let me read you a few of them. Catastrophizing, jumping to conclusions, personalization, overgeneralization, black and white thinking, labeling, emotional reasoning, assuming should statements or must or oughts, or disqualifying a positive. So all these thinking thoughts, all these thoughts are what cause us to go into a spiral of anxiety, and you can catch yourself thinking these and realize, I don't have to believe this, I don't have to think this, I can stop before I go there. Because that's the thing about anxiety, is that you have done it so often that you know where it's going to lead you. You know it's not going to take you anywhere positive, and you know it's going to just destroy your mood. And so learning to identify your thinking patterns and stop them before they can manifest into bigger anxiety attacks is going to be the thing that helps you manage your emotions. And my therapist said it's not about removing or eliminating emotions, it's about managing them so they're not so intense, so they're not so overwhelming, so that you can feel them and it is not the end of the world to feel them, And so, these worksheets are the things she gave me about how to, eliminate that anxiety and dissipate it. Because she says distress is temporary. Wrote it down right here. It's true. Distress is temporary. And that's something I have to remind myself whenever there's anxiety or fear or, anxiousness. And I could choose to focus. I have written down right here too. I could choose to focus on the anxiety, or I could choose to focus on the excitement of it. It's kind of like the same anxiety you feel before you ride a roller coaster. It's like you can choose to focus on the anxiety and then you might get a panic attack, or you could choose to focus on the excitement and the positive aspects of that experience. And so, you could choose what to put your energy into, what thoughts you feed. And so I believe that concludes the end of that problem that I was working on with my therapist. That's like a big problem I was working on with her, aside from like little everyday things that I needed help with. And the next thing I talked to her about is something I'm going to talk about in the future, but I don't feel comfortable talking about right now. We're going to title it The Traumatic Event. And this traumatic event is something we talked about, and we're going to skip over the notes I have on this because that's for another time. But hopefully you stay tuned for that one. That's a long one. That's going to be a really emotional one, but it's one that needs to be talked about. But not yet. Not ready for that yet. So what I most recently talked about with her in these past 3 weeks or 2 weeks. No, it's probably a month now. It's been a month that I've talked to her about this next issue, is how to structure my life, how to build a life that has purpose, that has depth. And so that is a loaded task for a therapist to guide someone in doing, but that is something that I talked with her about. And so, you know, she told me that I make a list of values that I have, and I could look up online what list of things those are. So it, and which ones speak to me. So I wrote down a list of these. And so for me, I put down authenticity, dependability, consistency, commitment, passion, integrity, open-mindedness, vulnerability, intimacy, and relaxation. I really value comfort as well. And so then she says, make a list of how I describe myself. And so I wrote, I'm hard on myself. I'm very anxious. I'm spiritual. I'm introspective. I believe I'm well attuned. That's one good thing. I can access emotions effortlessly. And that's a positive way of saying I feel like I'm very emotional. I'm very resourceful. That's something my therapist told me I am. And that's something that I wrote down because I think she's right, I think I am resourceful. I'm shy, but I'm confident. I am an animal lover. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Open, but I'm tactful. Like, I am very open with people about anything they want to talk about, but I'm also tactful. I don't just say everything to everybody. Of course, I feel like when it comes to sharing personal stuff or anything in general, I can do that, but I'm also tactful in the way that I do it. As I'm sharing this to everybody on the internet, this very vulnerable part. But that's the reason why I say tactful, is because I do share a lot, but there's something that I know I don't want to share, and I'm okay with saying no to sharing that. And so that's me being tactful in what I share about and what I'm okay sharing. And so I'm easily impatient with myself. That is very true. Goes along with the hard on myself. I'm a scaredy cat. I'm definitely a scaredy cat. Loneliness triggers fears and anxiety. Intimacy is my greatest strength, and it empowers me. Another thing I wrote down that I skipped over because I was ashamed of it, that I want to say now, is that I'm judgmental, and I'm not proud of that. And that's something I hope to work on in the future with my therapist, because that's something that I think really impairs me with connecting with people. I feel like I already know things about them before they even know about themselves, and I feel like that is my own ego, my own cockiness, if you will. And so I feel like I need to really work on that and just humble myself, and also I need to learn to be more open-minded, and that's something that I aspire to be, but that's not something that I am right now. And I think it is important to understand your flaws and know where you want to go in order to have a clear path of where you will end up in life. The last session I had with my therapist, it talked about how to achieve those things that I don't think I am, but that I value. So she said, get one of those things, because one of those things is you need to take time with this. Because this is a lifelong practice. This isn't something that happens overnight. How to live a purposeful life is seeing your values and trying your best to attain those values and implement those values in your life. And so something that I value that I don't think I have, that I'm currently working on, is consistency. I had already worked on relaxation. I think I'm learning how to relax more. I'm currently working on consistency, and in the future, I hope to work on open-mindedness, my judgmental self, and all that. But my consistency is something that I'm currently going to work on, and my homework these next 2 weeks includes to write a daily journal. And in this journal, she tells me to write down one thing that helps me move to consistency, and write down one thing I feel proud of myself about. And let me give you an example of what she means. Let's say I'm going to write at the end of my day this journal. And in the journal, I'm going to write down, today I filmed a YouTube video. And so I have accountability that I did that day. And I write down, I'm proud of myself because I cleaned the house. Let's just say I cleaned the whole house, which I did actually do, so that's true. And I did actually make a YouTube video. So anyways, I just did my homework right now. But anyways, that's an example of what she means by daily journal. And then tomorrow, I could hopefully make another video and write it down on my journal so that I have consistently kept track of the things I want to do, which creates consistency in my life overall. A problem I'm having with this homework is the fact that I don't even know what I want to do every day consistently. Like, YouTube videos seem too overwhelming to do every single day, and I don't feel like I could talk about something every day either. So then when I think of other stuff in my life, such as like things that I actually have to do in a consistent basis, such as like doing laundry or washing the dishes or showering, things like that, I don't feel like I can write those down even though they are consistent. It's not something I'm doing every day per se, like washing the dishes every day. It's like sometimes I do it, sometimes Evan does it, sometimes I want to skip showering because I didn't like work that day, so there's no reason for me to like shower. And also I gotta keep the oils in my hair, so that's why I don't shower. So there's just a lot of things that I don't need to do every day, so that's really confusing when I need to be accountable for them. And I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I guess what I'm gonna end up doing for my homework is writing down what I feel proud about. That's pretty easy because I feel like I do a lot in a day. I don't know. I feel like I need help with that homework. I need more clarity, but that's something I'm going to work on, and that's something I'm working on, and that's how therapy life goes. Therapy is really rewarding because I've started seeing changes in my life because I've made those changes, because I've put in the work, the mental work, the physical work, the consistency of like checking like your notes and looking back and thinking and doing the homework and writing stuff down, having a journal and making lists and checking those and keeping yourself on track and not losing focus on your goal. And just that really does pay off, because something that I've recently picked up is just like a huge success for me, and that is swimming. So when I was starting to work on my anxiety of being alone, I started working on exercise. That's something that I had been doing for a while, but that I wasn't enjoying as much. I was just going and pushing myself to go because honestly, I didn't like my body. I didn't like that I felt like I was gaining weight. I didn't like the fact that this looked like that and that looked like this. And so it came from a place of punishment. The way I would use exercise was to punish myself for like eating that one dessert or not liking my body, pretty much self-hate. And so I would push myself to go to the gym even though I didn't enjoy the act of actually going to the gym. Once I was there, I enjoyed it a little bit, but it wasn't like a passion of mine. It was just something that I just did, kind of like you do when you have to go to sleep, you have to wake up. It's just part of your day. It's not something you enjoy. It's not something that really brings you like purpose in a way. And so I was thinking about how do I make this part of my life a little more enjoyable. And I started thinking, well, one was a time when I was at my fittest, and then I was thinking I was in swim in high school. I was in, I don't consider myself like an athlete because I never did like that much sports growing up, but that is one thing that I remember. I won like the backstroke. I won the backstroke in one of my meetings, and I was just always remember that because I was just so proud of myself and I was so happy, and I felt like a part of the team, and and it was really fun. That's the thing too. Anyone that knows me knows I love the beach, like I love the water, and that's a passion of mine. Like I love swimming, and so I thought it would be a good idea to try that again as a form of exercise, because the reasoning behind doing it wasn't out of self-hate. It's out of self-love. It's out of internal passion. It's not externally forcing myself to do it out of punishment, out of self-hate. And so the first time I went swimming, I remember I was so exhausted. Like I was beyond tired because I had been doing it and I was enjoying it, and I did it until I was completely exhausted. But it didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like I was pushing myself. It didn't feel like punishment. It didn't feel like self-hate. It felt fun. It felt exciting. It felt passionate. It felt happy. It reminded me of all like the things you have to do when you're swimming, and it kind of brings you back to that time too, like, oh, I remember doing the flips, or I remember winning that thing, and it gets you happy and excited. And so that first day that I went back to swimming, on my way back home, I remember when I parked my car in front of like our apartment, I started crying because I was so incredibly happy that I had finally found something that I enjoyed doing so much. And it felt like I could really start having the body that I've always wanted to, because I was doing it out of self-love. And that's the thing that always gets me, is like I was doing it out of self-hate instead of love, and that's why it wasn't working. And so once I found out that was my calling, it really brought me tears to my eyes, and I was literally crying in my car because I felt like I had found a part of myself. And so it felt like I was coming back to myself. It felt like I was finding myself, and I was like, this is who I was meant to be. This is what I was meant to do. And so I'm like, now I'm forever gonna be grateful that I found myself, that I've found something that I'm passionate about. This is who I was meant to be. This is who I always wanted to be. And it's funny because a lot of times it's going back to the things that you always loved, as a kid or growing up. But a lot of times it is things you didn't even think of trying, and it's just having the courage to try it. And so that's my little story of how therapy has helped me change my life and how it genuinely has helped. But it is a lot of work. It's something you have to work on every day. And so the rewards will pay off, because you're going to live a life full of purpose. Or at the very least, you're going to overcome some trauma that you've gone through and learn to live a normal life again. And so it all depends on how much you want it, how much work you're willing to put. And if you don't believe in therapy, then there's other options, there's something out there for everybody. I've gone to therapy already so many times, and some therapists I hated, some therapists made me worse, and you just have to find someone that's right for you, and don't give up on yourself. Is at the end of the day, when you give up on someone else, just at least don't give up on yourself. Keep trying different things. And that's really what's been going on with me. And hopefully you guys can tell me your stories one day about how you overcame, trauma or struggles in your life. And yeah, that's the end of this video. Hopefully it sounded better after I switched mics. And I will see you guys hopefully in my next video. Bye. Does it look pretty or no? Yeah. Okay. Is this a napkin? The foam building it? Ready? Going. I'll just. Oh, yes!